Hello collectors, it's Steven here and welcome to the start of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Week. To kick things off, we're going to be taking a look at the SH Figuarts titles, and the first one on the list is the leader of the bunch, Leonardo. The fierce one with the swords, this ninja sports a blue color scheme and is arguably the most popular turtle. But did Tamashii Nations do Leo justice with this figure? Well, you know the drill. Let's take a look to see whether or not it's worth adding into your collection. About $60, this Bandai Premium Web Shop exclusive, which is a fancy way of saying one production run in Japan to never be reissued unless of course it gets repainted. This should hit every mark in every way and please every single turtle fan with its quality, especially given the size and the fact that nearly the entire body was reused 4 times in total across all the turtles. However, this isn't exactly the case. Leo follows the merchandise and promotional designs more so than the actual cartoon design, which was what they were more so aiming for, and this is okay because this is probably what sticks out more to people when they think of the turtles in pop culture, but let's dive in and take a closer look to see if they actually hit the mark in terms of sculpt and paint. The normal head for Leo is pretty simple, everything looks nice and crisp here, with some great detailing in the bandana. He has a bit of a furrowed brow, but what's iffy is a gap between the bandana and the rest of the head. But continuing to the back, we still have a nice sculpt to this piece where it looks like it's tied up in the back. Moving on down, we have the plastron, which is nicely sculpted, having the outline to it found in the promotional material, not in the cartoon. It's made of a soft plastic to help with the articulation, almost made of rubber, and when you move it, you can see that the sculpt is underneath for the main body. Now be careful here because the yellow for this material does actually rub off on different parts of your figure if you actually rub it up against other parts. The arms are pretty straightforward with some notable marks here and there for the molding process, and I note this because I want you to keep track of them across all 4 turtles. Do they seem to get worse to you? Mold degradation and the like? Now for the shoulders. I'll touch on this a bit in the articulation. You can get some nasty paint rub. Not good. But aside from that, the sculpt for the arms is fantastic with well-defined muscles, and the elbow pads are just as cool. Leo's belt now, where the buckle with the L is actually made of die-cast parts. The paint application is surprisingly neat with the gray paint being crisply applied to the L, but the brown band itself has odd clumps and white marks I couldn't exactly brush away. Maybe I need to try even harder, but sad. The legs here once again with nicely sculpted muscles, and here's where we see the gimmick of the turtles executed, and here they fail, but in the next section you'll see where they shine. You see, from the shins on down, they're made of die-cast parts, but a common problem is that even if you just display them, paint starts to flake off and they get damaged. Yeah, even yours if you already got them. Go get them and check closely. You'll see at least one spot where you can see the die-cast metal parts underneath. That shouldn't happen here on something this expensive. But it does. Anyway, last we have the shell. It looks nice and textured with relatively clean paint apps, but when you get up close, it's not nearly as pretty with paint outside of the sculpt marks and what look to be little tiny paint bubbles here and there. So in sum, Leo looks good at quick glances and at a distance, but under close inspection, we see some areas where he just falls flat, and we see some quality control issues which should simply not exist on something that's this expensive. Alright, time for articulation, my favorite section. Leo, lots of joints because he's an SH Figuarts, but unfortunately due to both design and the joints used, die-cast namely, we're going to have some drawbacks. But if you're creative and you know how to pose your figures, you really should be able to get around some of these issues. So what do we have? The head plugs into the neck on a ball joint. So we have typical twisting and turning. But interestingly enough, that system plugs in further on another ball joint, but you can't really use it. You'll see that in the next section when I talk about the severed head. So we can twist and turn Leo's head around, get him to look up and down, and then the neck plugs into the body on a ball joint, so we can get him to look about that far down, about that far up, but we do have the shell to thank as Leo's head collides into it, and, move him around like that. Get some nice movement as we can bob his head from side to side like that. So next up, the shoulders. We do have butterfly hinges, and you want to be careful here rubbing up against the plastron, and I'll go ahead and spoil this for you. But as you can see right down there by his thigh, if you keep rubbing up against it for long periods of time, then you're going to have paint transfer, which is never a good thing. So when you're moving Leo or any of your turtles around, you definitely want to be mindful of this. So no contact over an extended period of time or constant rubbing. You will have that paint transfer, which does not easily come off. So yes. So anyway, butterfly hinges. Leo looks absolutely jacked. Now, what else do we have? The arms plug in at the shoulder on a ball joint, but it is die-cast material. So you can spin them around as you normally would for a ball joint. But be mindful, you can even see the metal there, that you're moving the arms at that ball joint piece right here at the shoulder, and that you're not moving it somewhere, let's say, down by the wrist or at the forearms, because then you're going to be putting unneeded stress on the plastic in that area. And over time, you're probably going to cause damage, and maybe something might break. So be careful and move it here. We also get a hinge, so we can raise Leo's arms up like that. Now, I'm going to do something very bad here. Notice how I'm just kind of pushing up there. Yeah, that is a common mistake a lot of people with these Figuarts Ninja Turtles will make, because sometimes this ball joint in the shoulder just might want to set, if you will, higher up. And when you do that and you go to move the arm, it may rub up against one of the free-floating pieces of plastic here to sort of cover up the joint. And when you do that, you sort of get the light green effect that's right there that I showed you a bit earlier. That's because it's rubbing up against the plastic used for Leo. It's a common, easy mistake that a lot of people completely miss, and you don't think about it too much, and it will cause damage. So make sure that you're aligning it properly when you're moving any of your Ninja Turtles around. So just be mindful. Moral of the story, though, hinges. They go up about that high. So we have a bicep swivel, so you can spin arms around. And then we have double hinged elbows. Yes, elbows, like there are any sort of bows on your body. Unfortunately, the pads do block the articulation a little bit, but realistically speaking, that's about all you're going to need. We do have the normal swivel hinge combo for the wrists that you would expect from the SH Figuarts line, and then the hands are on ball joints, as you will soon see, and they do offer just a little bit extra swivel, but not like you'd really need it. They're just kind of there. So the arms are good. They do have a little bit of flaw going on, but hey, they work. So as I showed you before, there is a fully sculpted torso underneath all of this stuff going on for the shell, and we do have an ab crunch that kind of sort of works. You can see me moving it around here. That's not the waist joint down here working. I can't really get it to work too much. Every once in a while, the ball joint will slip, and I'll move it on my own, and I'm like, whoa, hey, that joint worked. But not really here. It doesn't want to do it when I want it to. But yeah, we do have a ball joint here. It works on occasion, though, given this band here, because we do have the waist joint, like I showed you before, we can get it to twist and turn. You want to be very careful, because I think that over time, if you keep manhandling the figure, and, keep getting them to move around and whatnot, this might tear. So you just want to be very careful when you're using the waist joint, right? You want to be very careful, and you don't want to put too much stress. So basic small movements for any of your Ninja Turtles will be just fine, right? Right. So yeah, moral of the story is we do have a ball jointed waist. So we do have pull-down hips. Very, very cool. And once again, we have the plastic-on-plastic contact, so you want to be very mindful of that. But when we pull down the hips, we can move Leo's legs out to the side about that far, thanks to the combination of the ball joint there at the thigh connection, which is really awesome. Now, since we have a ball joint here, legs move out about that far, which is pretty cool. And they go back about this far, and they get blocked thanks to the shell. They're also made of die cast here, so you're going to be very careful. The hip connection anyway. And you're going to have to move things very gently once again, just like the shoulder. We also have double hinged knees, so be careful there, because once again, we do have a little bit of a block here thanks to the knee pad. And then we have ball jointed ankles, so you can spin them around, and you can get a little bit of ankle rocker movement, but you're not going to get Kamen Rider or Ultraman levels of ankle rocker movement, just enough to, get them to do the splits a little bit. And then we have toe hinges, which go all the way up, or go all the way down. So at the end of the day, we do have some drawbacks here for good old Leonardo, but generally speaking, if you know what you're doing, you can get around some of the flaws and you can get a Ninja Turtle figure with some great articulation, and you can put them in some really fun poses. That die cast, which does have quite a few issues to it with paint flaking, can actually be used in a nice way to get him into some fun poses with standing. And as you can see here, go ahead and be nice to me today, Leo, please. You can get him to stand in some neat poses with relative ease. Now the accessories, the fun part of these guys. For Leo, we get a few extra hands, a severed head, his katanas, a back piece so this way he can store his katanas, and a manhole cover. Yep, a manhole cover. Anyway, let's go through them. For the hands, we get the default fists that he comes with in the package, hands to hold his weapons with holes in them, they kind of look like fists, slightly splayed out hands to hold stuff, and fully splayed out hands. To swap the hands, just pop them off near the bottom of the hands near the wrist, and put the new hands on. Just be careful to not pop off the actual wrist joint in this process. Next up, we have the katanas, his signature weapons. They look pretty nice for something so small, though the painted handle of them do raise some concerns from sliding them in and out of the different hand parts, which may raise some concerns for paint chipping. Alternatively, the slightly splayed hands work well for holding them, so this is good, though unfortunately it's not as a reliable grip as the fists with holes in them. Anyway, to use them as intended, just slide them into the hole on the fists with holes in them, and you're good to go. Now obviously you need to store these katana swords, and to do so you get the alternate back piece. That can be a real pita, that's pain in the ass kids, to swap out. I make it look relatively easy here because I set it up to be that way, but you slide your nail into that little hole underneath the back part of the belt, pop the flat piece up and out, line up the new piece up, then slide it in, and then slide the swords in. And now you can pose Leo in other action poses with one of the katanas stored if you want to. Or, of course, you can have him reach behind his shell to make it look like he's about to draw out his weapons. Pretty cool. Now, we have the severed head. And surprisingly, you can actually use this as an alternate head part. Who'd have thunk? Anyway, Leo comes with a grunting face, and to use this, you first have to remove the tied part of the bandana on the normal head, pop the normal head off, then pop on the new head, then reattach the bandana part. And there you go. Easy as pizza pie. Finally, we have the manhole cover. And that's, it's there. Yeah, you can't use it as a stand to support. So it's more of a prop. Nice attention to detail. Yeah, that's good, but paint's all right. But yeah, but what's really cool here is the lettering on one side is correct, while the other side is reversed. It's mirrored. It's pretty authentic. Remember the sort of splayed hands? Cool, because you can actually get Leo to hold it if you would want to. Yeah, really cool. So to wrap up accessories, Leo comes with the basics that you would say are true to his character, with a bonus that all turtles can use. And that's actually a theme here with all the SHF turtles. But as a personal preference, I just wish he maybe came with another head for more expression. For the price and the reuse of the body and the hands and everything else that comes with it, surely a lot of cost saving was involved here, and we could have gotten at least one more accessory for Leo. And last up, the size comparison with a variety of figures you just might have on your shelf, ranging from SH Figuarts to Figma, SH Monster Arts, the whole kit and caboodle. Average 6-inch scale here, so he should fit in well with wherever you fit him on your shelf. So, buy now, skip, or wait for that sweet deal. He looks nice, though do keep in mind there are some serious quality control issues with the paint and the die cast. Articulation is serviceable for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fans, and the accessories do fit Leo well. All in all, a solid representation of Leo, and probably one of the best figures of the character on the market, but he's not without his flaws. If you can get him for roughly $50 and can accept that eventually something might go wrong with the paint, you'll be plenty pleased with your purchase. I know I am, and knowing what I know now, I would make the purchase again. However, at the time of this review, his price is starting to start to get into the aftermarket range, especially on Amazon, and I wouldn't pay that much. If you can get Leo for around $45 to $50 and you've been thinking about pulling the trigger, don't hesitate and get him now before the price skyrockets. Well, that's it for this video, but that doesn't mean you need to close out just yet. There are a few other videos that just popped up on your screen, so go ahead and click on those to watch some more of my videos, and then there's the description to check out, where I've linked to where you can get this figure or others like it, and the credits to see how this video was made, so be sure to check that out. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, and subscribe. I love hearing from you. Thanks for watching, collectors, and I'll catch ya in the next video.